Hey, this is Bradley from Bradley Teaches, and today we're going to talk about dynamic overlays. Stay tuned. As I just showed you that first overlay, and I'm going to show you a couple of others that I will show you how to do today. Here's another overlay, which is basically transitioning colors. Now these colors are moving fast right now, but that's for demo purposes, not how you would really probably want to do it. But that's kind of a color transition thing like that, right? Then we have a same picture, but the color fades kind of thing, right? So I'll show you how to do that. Now, I also have a multi-photo type thing and that kind of stuff. So here's a multi-photo. And yes, they all kind of basically do something similar, but I want to show you some things that your overlay can do to add some dynamic things to your video without being too gaudy and just being too much, all kind of things like that, right? Then we have something like this, and that's without the sound effect, but I'll show you how to do that, making the overlay come together in a couple of pieces and do different things like that, right? So as I said, what I really want you all to do is to kind of think of your overlay as maybe a big animated lower third, right? And you can do more things with your overlays than maybe what you were thinking about before. Now there's ways to use them to enhance your video and not be gaudy and things like that. I only showed you a few different things, but I want to get into Keynote and explore some things. I will show you how to do these, but I want to get into Keynote and explore some things. And then also, this question came up in my pre-show about having kind of a static period of time before the overlay came in. And I'm guessing it's something like this. So announcement, talk about something, blah, blah, blah. And then you go into your next scene. So in this case, my next scene is actually a interview, right? And so you can do those dynamic overlays to do that type of thing also, right? So I want you to kind of really think about that as different things that your overlays can do, right? And they can act as transitions. Now, some of the things, like I will show again real quick, built into Ecamm, once you change scenes, there's certain things that are kind of baked in, right? That automatic fade and things like that. So let me show that screen one more time. So this is a guest screen that starts off as a solid screen, then it animates into a 2-screen guest scenario, right? So I will show you how to do that and show you how to work those things. So, all right, y'all. So you know how we do it. Let's go into Keynote. So I'm going to walk you through the process to building the different types of overlays that we just talked about. Right? So with that in mind, let's just kind of start off with the animated halves. Let's do that one first, and we'll work our way around to the other kind of layouts, because the other layouts kind of all have the same basic premise, but they do different things within the look and feel of it. All right, so let's do the first overlay. And we're going to do the overlay that kind of slammed together and made the smoke or whatever, right? So go shape. And let's fill that with a color. And we'll do another shape in that. Now this will be the basic premise for all the overlays today, kind of a single window overlay. And let me lift that up a little bit just to have a little lower third space. So this would be the rough premise for all of our overlays today, right? Just kind of a single wide window, and I'll do the double window format for that transition screen, but it can also be the wide format. All right, but now let's cut the hole out. Format shapes and lines, subtract shapes. So now we have the hole cut out, and we'll go to the slide itself with nothing else clicked on and go to fill none, kind of get us at that basic premise now. Now for this overlay with the two halves slamming together, what I want to do is actually, we're going to go to our object list and we're going to copy the shape and paste it, right? And that keeps them perfectly aligned still. Now what we're going to do is actually cut both of these shapes roughly in half. So, and how we do that, we actually make a shape. You know what? Let's do this first. Let's turn on the ruler, Apple R for ruler. And let's find out where half is. So there's half. Okay. So now we're going to take a shape and we're going to go a little bit above half for one shape. And let's make that a color. And now we're going to cut off the bottom half of the top shape. So shift, select. So now we have the shape and the top portion, right? So we're going to go back to arrange, format, shapes and lines, subtract shape. So now we got the top half, and now we're going to do the same thing for the bottom half. So shape, new shape, green. I'm going to go a little bit above. Let's just go there. All right. We're going to do that shape, line them up, shift click to get both shapes. And then we're going to format, shapes and lines, subtract shape. And I'll just inch this up for now. I realize I did it the wrong size a little bit. All right, so now we have the two shapes that are going to kind of slam together, right? The two halves. And you know what? Just so I can fix this, we're going to go to make editable. Can always fix it when you got the tools, right? There we go. So now we fixed it. All right. So now we're going to make these two shapes slam together. Now, I know that when I did my design, I had a texture or whatever in it. So we can do that real quick too. So let me open up this file and let's do a texture. So we're going to do a texture fill on both of them. So click the top shape, format, and instead of color fill, we're going to do image fill, right? And we can drag an image from our desktop and fill it into that spot, which I'm doing now. And then let's do the same thing for the bottom one, image fill. All right, now I want to talk about something really quickly as it relates to fill versus mask. There's some good things with each of them, but let me tell you about that real quick too. I am going to, cause like just right now, we did a thing where we could, we fill the shape. And excuse me for this tangent, but I think it's going to really help out as you do some other things, right? Because I think this can help at multiple levels. So here's another shape. And I'm going to drag and drop my image into that shape this time. So now that image is not filled, it's using the shape as a mask. And this could be done with the edges also, but I want to show you something as it relates to this. The pros and cons to filling a shape versus masking a shape. So in this case, it's showing one of the things right off the bat. If I'm masking a shape, I can move the image within that mask. That is not possible if I fill a shape with an image. I can't move it. It's stuck in place. Now you might say, why is that important? If you look here in the edges right now, and I'm going to zoom it up. if you look on the edges of this image right here, the hexagon shape is not lining up perfect, and there's nothing I can do about that because I can't physically move that image inside of a shape if I'm filling it with an image. Now, depending on what you use, that's no big deal, especially if you're not cutting something in half, right, like I just did. But when you're doing these different kind of animations and cutting things in half and piecing them back together, you might not be able to get your pattern to line up properly when you fill a shape with an image. Now, if I did that as a mask, I could definitely do it. But here's the downside to the mask. I can only make the image so big in the mask. So in this case, if I did this with the image fill and I decided to make it a mask instead, I couldn't make the hexagon shapes bigger. So those are kind of pros and cons to mask versus fill. Now there's, and it can work out for you depending on what you do, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because there's some cool things you can do when you mask it versus fill it. But in this case, fill is probably going to be your best option for these kind of things. I just don't want to leave that out though, right? Now, for that slam together action that we had, we're actually going to animate the two different halves separately. So we're going to go to animate, build in, and we're going to build in the top half with an anvil. And as you see, it just slammed in, right? Now, right now it's set at 1.5 to come in, but it is extremely fast, right? It just looks fast. And we're going to go to build order on that real quick. And for that top shape, make sure my head's not covering it up. Let's go up here. All right, for that top shape, we're going to go automatically after the transition, which means after the movie starts. And we're going to kick it up to about 3.5 seconds. All right. Now, the bottom half, it doesn't need to slam and make more smoke, right? So basically for that one, you just want that to move in. And you want it to move in bottom to top. And we'll preview that. Now I'm going to show you this real quick just for the sake of showing it. I'm going to drag it up into that first shape and I'm going to say build width. But let me show you something real quick. As you notice, Anvil said 1.5 and move said 1. But watch this when I preview it. The anvil is just quicker no matter what kind of time limit you put on it. So what you have to do is make the move in, even though it's rough, you think it's going to be a second, you want to make the duration of it quite fast, right? So now let's preview it. And see how they slam together at roughly the right time. So that's just kind of one of the animations you can do by slicing up your animation, doing different things with it. And now when you export this as an MOV file and it is an overlay, now you have an animated overlay that can do that different type of thing. So that's easily one animation you can do as a frame reveal for your overlay, right? All right, so that's the first kind of animation, right? The double slam together. And it's fairly easy. You can make two halves come in from the left and right. You can make them come in from the top and bottom. You can have it roll in, do different things of that nature, right? But you want to play with the different build-ins as they come together in different ways. And just kind of explore and play with that. Now, the next kind of build-in I'm going to do, because like I said, several of them are similar. So with this one, let me just make a new slide. Add slide, basic white. So with this one, it's going to be a two-part animation again, but this time around, you're going to have a frame and a background that opens up the overlay frame, right? So the first one, we did the kind of slam together animation, as you'll see here again. I have it wait for about 3.5 seconds, then it comes together, right? And you can do that with different types of things, right? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of exploring, and that's what I really want you all to do. That's why I show you these things, but I don't open up, every animation that's in the package and all that kind of stuff. I just want to show you a couple of simple things, and then you go in and maybe change one of the animations. Do a roll in instead, do a slide in, do a flip, and play with them like that. But I just want you to kind of think of it now as, instead of just having this kind of frame that just sticks on top of your video, now it can, another way to enhance your video or add some movement to your video that's not too gaudy, right? So that's the first one. So now let's do like the crumble effect, like I did with my initial opening slide, right? Select all. We're going to delete. Now this will be a 2-layer animation. So now let's go back. Let's turn that off for now. Let's go back to the slide. We're going to format the slide with no fill. Now all these will be transparent. So this is a new slide, no fill. Now this time you're going to have a solid shape. Let's make it green for now. So we have a solid shape, and then we have a frame shape, right? So now let's make another shape. We'll make it blue. So this will be the actual overlay frame. All right. So there's your overlay. Let's make the cutout for it. So shape, new shape. Don't want to shift, just one option. So we're going to do this kind of as a widescreen, basic overlay cutout. Let's inch that up a little bit. All right, so now that's a color. And we want to actually, like we did before, we're going to subtract the shape out of the overall shape to make a whole. So first shape, click that second shape, format, shapes and lines, subtract shape, and now we're seeing the back shape through it, right? So this time I'm going to fill all of these shapes, not fill, I'm going to drag in a image so it can mask them. It's the same thing as a fill, but it's just, I'm just going to show you that it can be done differently. So now let me go over here to my images, and I'm going to drag it in. As you see, the shape highlights. So now this is the image I want to fill it with, right? And I'm going to go down here to the landscape. You have the crop and the landscape. You want landscape, and drag it up to fill it up, right? So now that's my frame. So that's the first piece of it. So now I'm going to go to the background image, and it might be easier to drag that on top. Drag it to the top. And I'm going to drag that same image to fill that image. Right? So now it's filled. And then I can drag it back to the bottom again. So now, as you may be able to tell, I'm not sure if you can tell from the actual image right now, one is smaller than the other, right? So I'm going to drag it up, and I'm going to make the lines match up. Right? Now, if you did this with solid colors, it wouldn't be that big a deal. I'm just messing around right now, right? So now we have the frame on top. We have a duplicate background fill of what's in the frame behind it. So if I did this with just gradient colors, it would just be one gradient that's over the frame, one gradient that's over the background. So these are your two pieces, right? So now what I want to do is I want to animate that back image. So I'll click on the back image, go to the animate palette, and I want to build out. I want it to leave. So build out, add an effect. Now you can do all kinds of different stuff. I use Crumble, and as you see here, they match up, but when one crumbles out, all that's left is the frame. We can change it to something else just because we can. I don't know. We could do a saw blade going across. And so now essentially what you want to do is you want to have the solid frame that's there for a little while. Then you want the back to leave and reveal itself, right? And so if I go here to build order, forgive me for keep ducking around my microphone. It's in a bad spot right now. All right, so I'm gonna have it after transition. All after transition means is after the video starts for these purposes, right? So after transition, and let's say we wait for 3 seconds, and let's preview it. So that means the slide would come on the screen, or movie would come on the screen, then it would disappear away. Now, the question that I was asked in going live, I think it was from Antonio. I think it was. He was asking about, is there a way for a scene that we can have up front, we have like a slide or an announcement or something like that that has a little delay before we transition? This is a perfect scenario for that, right? So when the slide first comes on, we can have it come on like this, right? And then when the back goes away, so an announcement could be there, right? And so when that goes away, the announcement goes away with it, and then you have your overlay. And so for that purpose, let's just jazz this up a little bit, and I'll add some text and just call it announcement. All right, move that down some, format. Impact. So say that was your announcement, right? So you first come on screen, the announcement comes on screen as part of that transition. And then when the crumble goes away, the announcement goes away. But this is how you make that happen. So stick with me a little bit. All right, so there's your announcement. And so we know that this is going to crumble away. So we click on that image or that thing that's going to leave, and we go to Format, Copy Animation. Then we click on whatever the announcement is, Format, Paste Animation, right? So now we can make both of these things animate together. Yeah, I can do that. You can add the sound to it too. Now, when you saw the sound happen when I did mine, I added that sound separately as a sound effect, right? And here's a kicker when you add sound. Like right now, if I put this into my Ecamm right now, it's going to sit there for 3 seconds, then crumble away. You want to make your audio where it has that much blank space in front of it, then make the noise as the crumble is going, right? So you have to have an apparatus, so to speak, to be able to put some blank space in front of your audio. Now you can glue the audio into this by just adding the audio file and having it as a soundtrack to this and having it play at a certain time. You can do it that way too. But I just like sometimes having my elements separate, because I might not want sound in it all the time. I might just want to maybe copy that and use it again without sound. So having the elements separate will allow you to do that also. So let me go here to announcement and the background. I'll shift click both of those and group them, because in this case you want it all to go at the same time. So click the two elements, group the elements, then go build out, and it makes them build out as one unit at the exact same time. So after transition again, 3 seconds, right? So let's play that one more time just to show it to you. So this is a great kind of scene starter where, and I'll put this in Ecamm. You know what? Let's just do it now, and then we'll come back to the other designs because they're all so similar. All right, file, export, movie, and this is slide number 2. Slide number 2 to 2, 0, 0, custom, 1920. All right, let's go back to Ecamm, and we'll drag the demo on top of all this other stuff. But I'm going to show you how this would work, right? So in this case, let's say we are on this screen and then we go to the next one, right? So we're here, the announcement shows up, and then we move on, right? So that's how you get that delay you were asking about at first, right? And let me play something else and then play back to it again. Uh-oh. Play this one. So that means announcement, right? And so that can work great when you make different art, all kinds of stuff, right? So you can even have this as your overlay. Say this is your basic overlay, right? Unanimated, just an image. And then, and it's hard to make that happen now, but we go here, then it transforms to this, then comes back to your overlay, right? So as you go to different scenes, you can make that happen. I guess the easiest way to show you is to do it this way. Let's do it this way. Go back to demo. Let's put the demo overlay. Put the demo overlay on this one too. All right. So let's say we're here, this plays out. So, hey, you know, this is the coolest thing that's going on, you know, but now let's transition to our next thing, right? And so the slide can come up as a transition, then animate away and kind of comes back to the frame, even though you've changed scenes, right? Now, another cool thing about it, which is the other demo I made that was a 2-window version, is this kind of transition that can transition to a guest, right? So here I am. Welcome our guest, blah, blah, blah. They're coming to the show. Thank you for coming. Boom, right? So we can do, right? So we can do this overlay. We can even change camera views in the midst of that, right? So that's the cool thing about it. So I'm here, I'm talking, then I'll say, hey, welcome my guest, Miss Felicia. She's coming to the show. She's the greatest person since sliced bread, blah, blah, blah. And in the background of that, my cameras are also changing, right? So that's all automatically done because when I set up my scene, I set it up with 2 cameras. So that can be your Skype guest or whatever else. And once you hit, you know, I'm ready for my guest, it has still a little intro screen where you can talk about the guest, say how great they are, and you can time that out. You can make it 5 seconds, you can make it 15 seconds, and then it'll transition to a double window, right, with you and your guest. So there's multiple ways that can be done when you pre-set up your scenes and pre-set up camera views. You can do it that way, and now when you go to that scene, when you're ready for a guest or whatever else, you can have an announcement slide first, right? Or an intro slide first. And then that transition can happen, right? You can do that basic transition like I showed you of, you know, this kind of thing when just the frame goes away. But it's a 2-window frame now, right? Because you start up a new scene. Or you can do this kind of layout where it rolls away or something like that. And I can show you that animation. I forget what that animation was, but it's called reflection because the floor is reflecting and moving. But I can show you that real quick too. So, but those are multiple ways that you can do that announcement slide transition combo, right? So hopefully that wasn't too confusing to y'all, but let's move back into Keynote now. And let's do those other transition types those other transition types that can work for, I mean, a multitude of ways, right? And so these are going to be a little bit different. So you know what? All right, let's do this again. All right, there's our top image. This is going to be our whole. All right, so let me copy that one. Copy, paste. All right, so now we're going to take the top one, shift and click on the bottom rectangle, and we're going to go to shapes and lines, subtract shapes, and then that top shape we're going to put no fill and put a border on it of line and white, right? So that's the basic setup. All right, so now we're going to grab that bottom shape and we're going to copy and paste it 3 more times. And this will be the basic premise of all the rest that we do, right? So I just want to kind of show you how they work. So I'm going to call the bottom one bottom. Let's do an ABC. All right. So the bottom, we'll leave it blue. A, we'll do green. B, we'll do orange. C, we'll do red. Right? So basically all this is going to be is a fade through colors, right? It's going to start off red. It's going to start off blue, excuse me. Each color is going to fade, and then the last color will fade out and go back to blue. So that's basically all this is. So let's get our build order and slide it up here to the top. Want to make sure y'all can see everything. All right. So build order. So the bottom one is fine, doesn't need anything. So A, we're going to go to Format, Animate, Build In. Let's get that down some. Okay, what am I doing today? Just kind of brain fried. All right. There we go. All right, so A, add an effect. We're going to do a basic kind of wipe in. Let's go wipe in. And we'll do from top. We'll make it. Now, here's the deal. You don't want your overlay to just be jittering and flying by, right? But for the purposes of me showing you, I'm going to do the animations quicker than I suggest, right? Just so you can see them work their way through. But I would make well, let's do the first one slow. Because I would think I'd like the transition to go a fairly smooth, slow fade, right? So that's the first one that comes in. And we're going to do it after transition, which means after the slide starts up or movie starts up. And we'll have it wait. We're going to have it wait 3.5 seconds, right? So it wipes in at a speed of 3.5 seconds after it waits for 3.5 seconds, right? Then we're going to have B come in. We're going to do it on a wipe. We're going to have these go faster. Have it go from the top. C come in, wipe from the top. All right. So these are all the build-ins. So A, B, C. So A comes in, B wipes in after number 1 and give it a delay of 2 seconds. Then C happens after B, which is number 2, and give it a delay of 2 seconds. All right, so now let's watch them real quick. So we're going to start off with a blue one, then you'll see it work. So it starts off blue, it waits. That's a transition that I suggest overall, but the rest is going to be quicker. So then you have the yellow come in, then you have the red come in, right? So now to make that looping effect, we're going to have to make A and B disappear and then C fade back out to show the blue again. So to make that happen, we click on A and we're going to go to build out, and all it needs to do is just disappear. It can just snap, disappear. B, build out. We're going to put disappear on that, right? Then C has a wipe out, but make sure it's on build out. And we're going to wipe it out, and we're going to go bottom to top to kind of have it do kind of a rotation, right? Just for the sake of doing it. All right, so the disappear on A and B, they can happen as soon as C is over. So let's drag A into C, and we're going to go width. And we're going to drag B into A, and we're going to go width, right? Oh, it's going to be after, actually. A is after, because we don't want them to disappear too quick. B is width. So fade, fade, fade. It fades in. A and B disappear behind the scenes, and then C fades away. So C will be after 5 with a delay of, I don't know, a little bit under 2 seconds, because you have those other things happening that's delaying it. So now let's watch it. Move that out of the way. Right, so let's watch it. Right, and so the loop will start up again, right? Now, you can do multiple things to make these leave, right? A wipe looks like a little gradient color shift, and if you do it slow enough, it's not, you know, stark and jarring. Another one that works fairly well with that would be the iris. I like iris, but you also want to do it slow. As you see here, right? So you can do different fades, but please make them slow. You don't want it to be jarring as it goes from color to color, right? Now, and as it gets to the last one and fades back out, the rotation starts, right? So now you can set this video as a video overlay on a loop, and then it will just fade between the colors, right? And what you can do is slow down the wait between colors and slow down how fast the colors fade. You want it to be a smooth, easygoing kind of transition, right? So the colors fade in about 5 seconds. I mean, real slow fade. It's not even really that noticeable. People are like, oh, that's moving, right? And then you want it to wait for a second and breathe. Then the next color fades in. So you want to give it time for that. So this is a perfect base right now for the other things that I had as templates. So here's another one. We're going to now do the same basic look. Let's copy that slide. And at this time, we're going to put, you can put a single picture in all of them, and it just kind of fades as a gradient over that picture. Or you can do different pictures, right? So now let's do the gradient, and we're going to use a single picture. I think I had a cloudscape, yeah. So now let's go to the bottom, and we're going to go to format for each one of them. And here, instead of a color fill, we're going to do an advanced image fill. And there's a reason that it's advanced, but it's an advanced image fill. So go here, and I'm going to drag my cloudscape in, right? And you'll be able to see it when I get to the top one, right? So now let's go to A. We're going to go advanced image fill, and the cloudscape is already there. B, advanced image fill. C, advanced image fill. And so now all of these slides have the same cloudscape in it, right? So now all you really want to do is go through each of these and change the overlay color. So as you see here with advanced fill, you have an image, and you have an option for an overlay color. So let me start with the top one just so you can see it. And right now blue is the color being picked, but I'll just do orange, right? And so B, I'll make it green. A, let's make it some kind of red color or purple, right? Then the last one is blue. So if we play through these now, what's really happening is that you're getting a color fade, but the image doesn't change, right? And so this is just kind of another way to have something as a background that's a stable background, a little bit more oomph in it, if you want to, if that's even a technical term, but a little more, visual in it than just a color, right? And now you can just have that picture change colors, right? Now remember, that's all you have to do. Once you get your colors set, or once you have that look set, just copy the slide, go into the slide, and now the elements on the slide, go to advanced image fill, then you can put a screen over it, right? And so you can kind of do those kind of fade ins of different colors over an image. Now, another option, you can still have the advanced image fill if you want to, but you can also change all the images and all the colors, right? So in this case, I'm going to just leave it as an advanced image fill just for the sake of doing it. But I have other images that I saved that I'm going to bring in, right? So the bottom one, I have kind of a tropical scene. Then the next one, I have no idea what this is going to be, but it's something related to travel. Okay, a seascape. Then I have another one. Some mountains. Then I have a last one. I think it's the last one. Then I have some other thing, right? So another beach. So I can play through these, right? And now the image fades and a color fades, right? And so you're a travel agent, you're a business person, right? You can have different business images in the background. And this is an example. They're moving fast and they're transitioning fast with not a lot of weight between them. You want to extend that, right? So like right now I have A, it waits for 3.5 seconds. It takes 3.5 seconds. So you want to extend the wait time and extend the transition time. You want to extend those, right? So that's definitely what you want to do. So that's kind of that, y'all, for different kind of dynamic transitions. And let me switch back here. Oh, let me show you something else. It has some cheese factor, but it made me think about it. Here's something that, like, if you're a magician or an actor or something like that, check this one out. So you have this kind of thing, and the curtain comes up, bam, right? So this is even a little more complicated. Then the curtain goes back down, end of the show, right? So that one's a little more complicated, but it can definitely be made for when you have a multi-layer image. You can make different parts of it move as your overlay, right? And in that case, I had the curtain come back down, which really didn't need to come back down. But if you have like a multi-layer document, right, that has that front, middle, and back, you can use those as overlays, right? So the outer frame stays, that lower frame animates out, that leaves the opening for you to talk through. And so there's a lot of different stuff you can do with that to reveal the next scene, right? So these are even kind of little mini transitions, even if you want to call them that. But they're more so overlays to help frame you. But like I said, these can definitely be used for different kind of things like that. When you can do, the curtain raises up, I'm thinking that for the magicians and people that do kind of stage type stuff, right? If you're teaching, if you're presenting to children, those kind of things can help a lot. Combine this with the emoji tutorial that I did, right? And you can kind of make some cool things happen with that. Hey, thank you all so much for joining me for another episode of Bradley Teaches. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and click the notification button so you know whenever I bring up a new episode. Also, leave your comments and questions. I look for them every day and I surely will respond. For those that want a head start on their projects, drop by my Gumroad site. And until next time, I am Bradley Vinson, Alana's Pawpaw. Be blessed, be free. See y'all soon.